Out of all the factions present within classic World of Warcraft, the goblins of the Steamweedle Cartel are one of the most resourceful. Not loyal to either the Horde or the Alliance, these merchants are inventive and business-oriented, always looking to strike a good deal, no matter where it can be made. Today, I want to explore a pair of tiny but very intriguing details that very few players have picked up on, and dive into what they can tell us about the connections between the various factions on Azeroth. Thank you all for the fun comments and support, and with all that being said, let's get right into it. Our story begins in Booty Bay, a goblin port in the Cape of Stranglethorn Vale. Here, within the Old Port Authority, one of the wooden signs recently caught my eye, a trading booth called Boomstick Imports East. It is run by a goblin with the fitting name Mazik Snipeshot, a purveyor of novel firearm supplies. The name of the stall got me thinking, if this store is here in the Eastern Kingdoms, is there a Boomstick Imports West over on Kalimdor? Or is it just a throwaway title meant to expand the scope of the world? After doing some research, I found our answer. There is another branch of this business on Kalimdor, but it's not run by the goblins. Instead, we find the original Boomstick Imports located in a prime location in the Horde capital of Orgrimmar, run by a Tauren named Kaja. This establishes a certain link between the sister store in the neutral town of Booty Bay to the one here in Durotar, both likely financed by a wealthy benefactor, maybe even Kaja herself. As I was investigating, I found 3 more details that are probably not even connected, but somehow make this theory even more possible. For one, Kaja has been revered for years by players on the forums, as she is the closest NPC to the inn, bank, and auction house able to repair someone's gear, making her shop one of the most convenient and successful ventures within the city. Second, out of the dozens of stores in Orgrimmar, this was the only one featured on a trash item dropped by Horde guards in Alterac Valley, a document from Boomstick Imports that mentions word of a repair bill. Third, I confirmed something that one of the comments mentioned. Kaja stands about 15% taller than the regular Tauren female, which is especially curious. Scale modifiers for friendly NPCs are given almost exclusively to important lore characters or faction leaders. And the fact that this random vendor was given a size buff could indicate she was once supposed to be somebody more important in the lore, or maybe the devs wanted to convey this is definitely a merchant you don't want to mess with. Whatever the true case might be, we've definitely found a business connection between a supposedly neutral store and a Horde merchant. I was curious about this dynamic, and I decided to check out the rest of the businesses in town to see what other connections might come to mind. Some of the signs have great puns, but nothing really stood out to me until I approached one of the final shops, a potion supply store tucked away in the corner of the city known as Boucher's Cauldron. An appropriate name at first glance, but one that becomes confusing when you realize neither of the 2 goblin vendors here have the name of Boucher. I knew that name sounded strangely familiar, and I knew I had to look deeper to figure out what was going on. Lo and behold, within the trade district of Stormwind, we find not one, but 2 Bouchers, Keldrick and Kira, both of whom work at Pestil's Apothecary, another alchemy shop. This is the second intriguing parallel of its kind. A neutral goblin vendor in Booty Bay has a connection to a distant faction capital. It's unclear whether the Bouchers founded this store as a secondary branch, or if perhaps they worked there previously before moving to Stormwind, but it's very likely there is still some sort of trading network that exists between these 2 locations. Perhaps the Bouchers, ambitious as they might be, are working their way up within Pestil's Apothecary to eventually inherit the business, but that's just a guess. Either way, we now have members of both the Alliance and the Horde subtly influencing trade within neutral territory. We don't know the extent of these partnerships, or if there are perhaps other examples out there, but I thought these 2 were really interesting examples, and I wanted to share them with all of you. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope this video helps remind you all that there are always more details about WoW to discover, as long as you're curious and observant enough. Until next time, may the Force be with you.